there were two words which you used in that presentation, which struck me. One was quality, another was authenticity. And authenticity now is such a distant concept in this world of social media, where even the news isn't authentic and this whole glitz. And as I recollect, you spoke about trust, which I think is very fundamental to our life and especially in business. So can you please say a few words or elaborate on this notion? And there's a sub-question to this one, which is, I'm curious, you had mentioned about perceived quality, and perceived quality is a lot about perception. How would you blend perceived quality and authenticity? Usually the temptation would be to project the image of quality, which may not necessarily be authentic. And it's not necessarily done with a spirit of deceit or guile, but sometimes it's living up to a certain expectation. And you know, I myself work on many of these themes and topics, and I thought if aesthetic is the answer. So there are two questions.
Sure. So answering your first question about how does it work in the current world, where most things seem inauthentic, even the news is inauthentic, and the idea of quality. So what I was trying to study back then was what sells in the market. Like, as a consumer, what do people look for when they buy anything, whether they buy news, whether they buy a product. So in a sense, it is from the customer point or the viewer point that they are asking for quality and they are asking for authenticity. So it's really up to the human understanding of what authentic or quality is for that person. And you kind of determine your market segment or your customer from who strikes the same chord as far as what authenticity and what quality your brand or your product is trying to communicate, right? And that kind of leads into perceived quality, because but in specific to that study, perceived quality is what you want your product to be perceived as. So, and like how you want to show what you are to the world. So that, the more that is true to your core product or the core values that your company has, the closer you are to achieving the quality and authenticity in the mind of the consumer. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And
so, yeah. So it's all about bridging that divide. I mean, it's bridging the gap of what you are trying to communicate as a product, which is authentic and whatever quality you're talking about. And it's what your marketing is saying, what your people are saying, what our customers saying. And if you've successfully communicated your core values and your perceived quality is your idea of quality and authenticity, then you've kind of hit the market the way, you know, like a good product would. So, for example, like I'm just giving an example in the Indian segment. I'm just talking about the bigger brands here. Tata as a whole has an perceived quality, at least, of being more authentic, more trustworthy, and connected to the people. But it just doesn't come from marketing. It also comes from their ethos and how that group operates and what their values are and how they employ and how they do their benefits. Like, it's not just the marketing, it's also how a whole organization is run. And there can be other companies that are doing the same thing as Tata, but the person on the road has a very different understanding and different relationship with any Tata product compared to similar other products. So in the Indian context, I would say this is the one that comes to mind. But I was looking at it from a very, very specifically gourmet food and high quality stuff, which at that time I was trying to bring our organic teas to the market. And I wasn't understanding how I would compete in the market, because everybody claims to be organic. Everybody complains to be socially responsible. Everybody claims to be
Buzzword.
fair trade and all of that. So I was like, okay, everybody's doing it. So how will my product compete with this? So that's when I understood that having these tags is a bonus thing, because everybody does it now in this particular segment. How you communicate your story and your actual product's quality and what you're offering is really what takes it through for the longer term. And then again, the trust is another thing which built into the, what customers want. It's again just the idea that that this product is good, you can rely on it, not just on the regular kind of like it just is it available all the time? Does it taste the same every time? If there's a problem, will you get a refund? Like, it just is building in basic customer satisfaction to build that trust in a way that, this company is what they say. And at the end of the day, it's the customer who decides whether they trust a company or not. So
Great. Yeah, go ahead, please.
No, I'm just saying, like, so it's different, because even in news, like you use the example of inauthentic news. The news that's inauthentic to you may not be inauthentic to somebody else. So it really depends on what your views are and what and who you think you connect with. So it all boils down to personal choices. And that's why it's very tricky in business, and I struggle with it myself, because you mentioned about how sometimes it may not be what you're saying. Even today, I struggle with the fact that we have to say some things in the market segment, and I don't always feel like I'm living up to it. But then when you look around, I'm like, okay, but you have to use these particular terms if you're in that category. So in a way, it all comes down to how you run your business, how you interact with people. It all comes down to people. In my understanding, everything comes down to people, and how your organization deals with a problem or an opportunity or a product. It just comes down to that.
A very fascinating and a very enlightening answer. Well, the discussion about fake news is a whole different story. You can watch some of the other discussions happening on some of the other platforms I'm involved. But now I heard your life story. I learned about your values. I learned about your inspiration. And it's time to come back to the dream project, because all this is going to go in like ingredients into cooking up of that wonderful new meal, which we are all looking forward. So this dream project is not only your dream project, but ours, the people who love Kolkata, the Kolkata Files, Viva, myself. I like to mention Viva has made enormous contribution as a campaigner, as a writer, as a shall I say, activist, thinker about Calcutta heritage conservation. That's how I got connected. So it's a great moment, a great opportunity for me that I'm having this conversation in the presence of Vibha. How do you wish to move ahead? Well, there has been some media coverage. I've done my homework. You have planned to convert the ground floor into a cafe. You have plans for utilizing the 2 floors above as a commercial space and co-working space for exhibitions, workshops. But we would also like to hear from you, how do you envision this Red Baari in a couple of years' time? And what's your fundamental vision, what you'd like to do with it?
I'm going to tie your last question answer to this question, because you asked me about aesthetics in the last one and I didn't touch upon it at all.
Yes.
So, and I think your specific question was, where does aesthetics play a part in determining authenticity and quality, and whether it does, right? So for me, the Red Baari is a huge opportunity to let my creative side flow. And I would hope that the aesthetics of the Red Baari will speak for itself in what the space wants to be, should be, and how I'm hoping for the space to be used. And in that, I guess now I'll cross over to what I would like to do. I want to stay very authentic to the original structure. And it's funny that I use the word authentic, but this is related but completely unrelated to the rest of the conversation. So I'm envisioning this space to be, of course, used as a commercial space. We have to be commercial because it has to run itself. It has to be something successful, and I'll have enough to keep it renovated and run its, work around it, because nothing is free. So yes, we are going to be a coffee shop. We are going to be a co-working space, and it's a 4-story building. So we're doing a coffee shop, a co-working space, and an event space. And the last floor, for the time being, is I'm thinking about it as a Airbnb sort of place, because it's more, it's a little less accessible. But again, there are lots of buildings that turn into coffee shops and turn into co-working spaces. In this particular way, I want to tie a lot of what I've learned about community development and sustainability over the years to build it in a way that is true to that, but also operate it in a way that is true to that. So I envision it to be a place where true Calcuttans come to hang out, work, do events, connect, share ideas, just kind of give back to the city that a lot of spaces have been lost, and kind of be a bridge between what the old coffee house would do and what the Roaks do. So I just want it to be accessible by all walks and be somewhere that is creative.
Fantastic. So we can all look forward to having another conversation, sipping a cup of coffee or tea at your Red Baari in the coming months or a year's time. So thank you very much for your time. And Vibha, do you have any questions for Avantika?
Avantika, this is absolutely a brilliant journey, and we're all for you, rooting for you. and we will all collaborate. I think over here, the key word is collaborate. We will try
Yeah.
to do our best so that you become the best. So all the best
Okay.
and congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's
Congratulations.
nothing
So
without collaboration. So we definitely
exactly,
need
that's
a
the
lot of
key
that.
word.
Yeah.
So collaboration it is, and all the best in your journey. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you.